It's always good to see you.
Something in her demeanor has changed. She's tired, consigned to her fate, to being here with you and what's to come.
I understand.
Just like that. No resistance. Her shoulders are slouched, her feet long and straight.
I knew there was a chance you'd get them to tell you. It's what you do. You're the police. For what it's worth, I'm sorry for wasting your time.
This is good. Clear the air first, between you two, then move on to questions. No, it's not good. It's the opposite of that. This will let her dictate the terms of your... Shush, I can't hear what she's saying. Let the miss speak. She's tall and thin and tired. A twig trying so hard not to break.
If you knew we would find out eventually, why did you waste our time?
Because of the Hardys. I couldn't just dispense with them. They were only trying to help me. Out of the shit I'd gotten into.
Is she implying the Hardy Boys are the law?
I know that. But the people around here, they don't see it that way. And if I am to stay here, I need to get along with them. You're right. There's more. You answer to the coalition government, and by extension, the moral intern.
Briefly glancing over her shoulder to the sea, as she's done time and time again. A grand expanse of water reaches over the bay and to the horizon, golden grey in the noonlight. The Pearl, the Muindi Isola, the Occident, and then Oranje, the old world. The conference centers, the people who are angry at her past.
You share a database with them. You send people to their courts. It is. They're after me, and they have friends in the moral intern. Some are moral intern. If I show up in your records, officer, they will find me. They will.
What happens if they do?
They will kill me, sir. If you file my name, take me in for questioning, enter me into the moral intern mill, well, then I'm fucked. For nothing. This murder didn't have anything to do with me.
Fucked? People after her? Moral intern people? This isn't Orionese lit. Here we go. For once, you seem to have her off guard. Actually, this murder did have a little to do with her.
I did. I also had a side job selling insurance that I was really good at. Got picked up by a bank. Competitive intelligence, they called it. After that, I sort of, transitioned out of the whole culture scene. It's not nice, but it's not illegal. Not here in Revachol, or even in Oranje.
What exactly did you do?
Industrial espionage. I joined a business collective with the intention of betraying them. I did my job well enough to be asked to do it again, with a bigger company. The kind you really, really don't fuck with. I took their ledgers, 2 decades worth of accounting.
I need the names of the companies involved and who hired you.
The job was Louis-Douin County Savings Bank. They sound small, but they're part of the Louis-Scop conglomerate. That was the second job. The first was some printer company. You wouldn't know them.
But she really destroyed them. She still feels it.
As to who hired me for the job, I don't know. But they're after me too, along with Louis-Scop and their friends in the MI. Once you're done in the competitive intelligence circuit, you don't have allies. You're radioactive.
Lowe's cap. These people engineer financial disasters in second world countries. The conglomerate also includes the Bank of Consecration, Airberg, and the popular Papalolo line of dairy products.
Yeah. Papa fucking Lolo wants to kill me. Sure. I'm not a war criminal, but it was bad. People lost their jobs. Good people too, not just C-suite. A lot of people got hurt. But that's just more of my shit you shouldn't have to deal with. You're solving a murder.
That can wait. Look into her eyes. There's more.
One of them killed themselves because of me.
She says it quickly, like she's said it 100 times, to herself to get used to the idea, out of guilt.
How do you deal with anything? It's all just... How do you do it? There you have it. The way of the warrior. We were there. Together. In bed, I mean. Okay. He was in a kneeling position. He had just entered me. I was on my back, looking at him. I heard the window behind me shatter, and I turned to look. There was a hole in the glass. I turned back to him. His eyes were looking through me, and his mouth was open, dumb. I could see. I could.
Her chest rises and falls with each word. She keeps herself together and says it.
I knew he was dead. Before he fell down on top of me. He was heavy. I pushed him off and he fell to the floor. There. He only had his boots on. I bit the pillow, not to scream, then ran downstairs. I waited for the second shot to come. For me. I thought there would be one. It never came.
She's forgotten about her cigarette. The butt has burned right down to her fingernails.
Oh. So am I.
What time was this? When did it happen? It would help us if you could be as precise as possible.
11:30 to 12:15. I don't know the exact time. Around midnight.
It's okay. Were you inebriated?
Not as much as usual. He'd done a line, plus other things. I was drinking.
Wait. Titus said she was gurning her jaw off, much more than usual.
Oh, yeah. I did one of his lines, just to clear my head.
Did you hear or see the shooter in the course of this?
No. Nothing. I was trapped. I was stuck in my room downstairs. I got some clothes on and crawled back up, drew the blinds. Blood was coming from his mouth. Not a lot. Just a little. He was still on the floor, slouched. I couldn't be there with him anymore. So I ran down and out of my room, into the hallway, down the stairs. I knew there would be people there.
Run, woman. Run past them and out into the streets where it's dark and people move. To the lorries at the intersection, as far as you can.
I already ran. I ran from an entire Isola. I can't run any further. Not with these people. This is as far as it gets. Sylvie was tending the bar. A lot of people were there. The Hardys were at the table in front of the stage. I think the Union box was full. Ruby was there too. They were having such a good time. I sat down and they all welcomed me. I didn't even have to say anything. Ruby knew something was wrong.
Ruby?
Ruby. You know, the leader.
The leader? Of what?
The Hardy Boys. Well, nominally, yes. Ruby's the one they go to when things happen, like things they need taken care of. She's the organizer.
This Ruby, in her phrasing, is entrusted with great power. She trusts her. So do the others. Does she also party with Ruby, however?
No.
Still, there is something there. She won't tell you now.
Well, Ruby said let's talk upstairs. I showed her the room. I've known these people since December. They know my situation, that I can't leave a paper trail. Ruby was the first one I told. She said she'd take care of this. It's what she does, you know, take care of things. I helped her get the body to the bathroom. We used a belt to pull him up under the shower, to keep him upright.
To mislead you, they were tampering with the body.
To produce lividity, matching a hanging?
Yes.
We completely missed the tampering. Looks like you got there in time. What was this, 20 minutes after death?
About 20, yes. Ruby explained it would make the blood... You know what he does. Ruby went outside to talk to Titus and the boys. I was just looking at Lely in the bathroom. I had to put his clothes back on. His armor, too. It was tough, but I've seen him take it off and put it on many times. It took Ruby maybe half an hour to come back with Titus. I'd gotten him ready by then. They carried him out. I knew what they were going to do. Make it look like a hanging. Ruby said they would. Ruby said to wait here. She also said I wouldn't see her for a while. That we should lay low or something. So I did. I don't know. I haven't seen her since.
We will need to take this question to the Hardy Boys.
Interesting. Why did this Ruby go through so much trouble to hide something someone else did? Look into this later. What are you doing? Coming up with a theory. She said Ruby knew something was wrong before she said anything. How come? It was loud downstairs. She couldn't have heard the shot.
It is ominous. You already coming up with theories that put the blame on someone other than Glacia.
When he was shot? I may have. I don't know. I couldn't hear anything over the glass exploding.
The gunshot wasn't that loud. This is something to keep in mind when assessing the distance of the shot.
What? Why would I put myself through this? Insanity. Get myself cornered like this. He wouldn't have died if it weren't for me. I know that. But I would never hurt him.
It could have been a desire murder. Maybe an act of jealousy. He was a serviceman. He must have had a gun lying around, close to her hand. A military weapon using jacketed ammunition. Now you guys suddenly have theories pouring out, when they're obviously just stabs in the dark.
I'm sad to hear that. They must have said it in some fit of frustration or under pressure. They couldn't have meant it. I've talked to them after it happened. No one has implicated me. I did not kill him to defend myself from rape. I told you before. That wasn't what happened.
True, sire. 'Tis true. She simply shakes her head.
No. I specifically asked him not to carry firearms when he was with me. He only had his stupid armor. I don't know. His friends have rifles. Maybe those psychos did it? Coalition military have rifles. I'm not a munitions expert, and I did not shoot him.
She might have been a tad disingenuous when she avoided talking about the bullet in his head before.
Look who's waking up from 1,000 years of sleep.
I've said I'm sorry. What more do you want me to say? I did my best not to lie. It didn't always work. Like what? That's the first thing that went through my head when I heard the glass break. I thought they'd found me. They've killed him to punish me. All last week, I've tried not to talk to anyone or be seen with anyone so they wouldn't be hurt. I've come to understand, however, this is paranoia. What happened didn't have anything to do with me. I just don't know. I don't know anything.
We can't go after Loose Cap. Not yet. There are other, saner leads.
I don't ask you to, Lieutenant. If there's one thing I know, it's that you'll get nothing from there. Because I'm an idiot.
Which is an indicator of truth. Idiot. She's nothing of the sort.
You have to understand, the people around here, no one was making the call, and he kept rotting. And then they picked his clothes off, and that little fucker threw stones at him.
Her jaw is clenched. Her throat moves. It takes all her strength not to cave in and sob. Once. Just one time.
He kept throwing stones at him for 3 days. I could hear the thud. Thud. So I called you. I hope with all my heart it's not the last thing I do in Ravishol.
She definitely called the cops. That was task complete. It could not have been a lie. That is impossible. Oh God, that was a lie too. Who made the call then? She did, of course. Don't be paranoid, man. It's unbecoming of a police officer, and it makes you sweat.
Last week, Angus and Titus's brother, I think he's called Tibbs, took care of it.
You should have another look at that window after this. Reconstruct the scene. It's right there. Yes, you see the glass sparkling out of the corner of your eye. She nods silently. She doesn't even smoke, just picks up the cold coffee and holds it in her hands. He's thinking, are we done here? Or should we arrest her? She's a flight risk and she lied to you. She should be taken into custody. No, that won't be necessary. Just leave her alone. She's been through enough. She doesn't need this police brutality. This guy won't budge. You have to wake Multiface up, forcefully, if you want to continue pushing her. Who? What? Dear Lord, you've been lied to. She could have killed her lover and lied to everyone. She's not the most fair and just at all. She's smoke and mirrors and will-o-wisps. She probably didn't give you her real name either. Why would she? Arrest her immediately before she further entangles you in her web of lies. Take it easy. Don't overcompensate with this course correction. Ask questions first. Yes, start at the top. Choose at the bottom. It's how we've always done it. No rush. See?
I did. What is this? I called your desk or whatever it is. The numbers are all over town. Call 8-100-2 for emergencies. There was an older woman on the other end. It sounded like she was smoking. She took my complaint. She coughed.
That is the emergencies desk number. Anyone could know that, sire, by looking around and calling the desk. I don't believe a single word she says.
What time did you make the call?
Thursday night. It was late, sometime after 12.
It checks out.
But I know the time of the call too. I know I have not been 100% truthful with you officers, but I am now.
You sense a little hesitation there, or maybe even fear. The stress was on the wrong syllable. Welcome to the wake-up club, brother.
I agree. You wouldn't give us your real name, not when people are after you.
Okay. Okay, it's not. You log your work every week. It's all transmitted to Common, sir. I couldn't just beg you not to enter my name. So I lied. Like I lied before. Like I did at LCSB. I have to lie all the time. I'm so tired of it. No, it's submerged in a plastic buoy on the coast, in the reeds. It just doesn't say Clausia Amandu. It says Anouk Mea Smith.
Falsified documents?
Passport and visa. Given to me by my employer. I can't even use them. My employer probably leaked the name, Mea Smith, to hurt me.
Why would they do that?
I didn't show up to a rendezvous. They don't take that lightly. I didn't show up because I was afraid they'd do something to me. The job was finished. I'm just a liability now.
She fears an arrest right here and now. This has been an awful turn of events for her.
West of the boardwalk, in the reeds, on the coast there. I put it there when I first arrived. Haven't been there since. I'm not sure I could even find it now. It's useless.
The lieutenant makes a note of it.
You're welcome to it. It's in the reeds northwest of here, past a broken sewage pipe, right near the waterline. It's Katarzyna Lazie.
It's a Grad name, Jimsk or Yugo-Grad in origin, not Occidental at all. Smells of motor oil, tiger, economic desolation, and rock music-infused alcoholism. It also makes Clausia almost an acronym for Katarzyna Alazia.
It was a sentimental thing. I wanted to be more me here, this time. So I used my nickname.
A nickname? Who gave you this nickname, Clausia?
A teenage boy. 1,000,000 years ago. My parents were Zemsk immigrants, but I'm nationalized Oranese. All I remember is Oranje. Alasia is my father's name.
She nods. Her round eyes meet yours. They seem moist from the wind on the roof.
I am. They can never take my sash and my scepter from me.
Yes, they can, for lying. She nods, her back straight, ready for whatever is next.
But I haven't done anything illegal.
Failure to aid a police investigation. She purposefully misrepresented information crucial to the case. Fucking mind games. Enough. That's right, gang. Stern and merciless now. Stern and merciless as we reel her in. The lieutenant produces a pair of handcuffs.
Please no.
But there's nowhere to go. A 2-story drop to the Plaza Mosaic. If she could, she would have run before.
I think I know who did it. Who shot Lely. I can tell you. I can help you.
She's silent for a second, as if looking into herself for certainty. Then, in a hushed voice, she says, gearing up for this betrayal is hard for her.
Ruby. She has this thing for me. Ever since I met her and the boys downstairs. She's been pretty frank about what she wants. Sex. And more. I made the mistake of confiding in her. I told her I was on the run. She started protecting me. It became an unhealthy relationship. When I started spending time with Lely, she told me to end it. Said there would be shit if I didn't. It was not a good meeting. We stopped talking after that, but...
I don't understand. What exactly in your relationship made you think she's romantically interested in you?
She said she's in love with me. She even asked me to run away with her when I told her I'm a fugitive. She started developing notions about our relationship.
And you led her on?
A little. I was flattered, you know? But then I had to let her off, and it was not easy. I came to regret being friendly with her. We maybe kissed, nothing more.
Yes, but what was their relationship outside this unequal power dynamic?
We spent a lot of time together, listening to the radio and such. She had great milieus, and she was good company. I was sorry it had to end.
What was that question about? She's feeding her friend to the wolves here. It also has startlingly little to do with arresting her, you suddenly realize.
This is just an assumption.
I know what it sounds like. That's why I didn't want to tell you before. But she knew what had happened when I came downstairs. Somehow, she knew Lely was dead. She wasn't surprised at all. When we came up here, she was calm as a stone, too. She cleaned it all up like she had a plan.
This is a familiar theory. You had it too, remember? Could it be that Ruby was covering up after herself? The lynching? Yet again, you're coming up with this. The worst thing is, it may be true.
She came over one night, drunk, said she'd turn my life into a living hell. I've been threatened before, so I can tell when someone knows how to do it. And she's a pro. She must be. To keep the Hardys in line. I tried severing ties with her after that. I thought it had worked, but...
Some of that fear is still with her. She exhales sharply. What are you talking about? She's afraid you'll arrest her.
She could have had access to the roof. You've noticed that door there, right? Maybe it leads downstairs. She could have come to the roof through that, then taken the shot right here, where I stand. It was dark outside. I wouldn't have seen her.
Then slipped back downstairs without anyone noticing. That is possible.
Interesting theory. Did she know that door exists? Had you been out there with her?
Yes, of course. She's been up here many times, jacking private stations off the ring antenna. She used to come here to drink on the roof with me, before it got weird.
Okay, and what? Arrest the liar now. Don't arrest her. Push her a bit more, but then let her off. That Ruby theory was solid. And she's beautiful. She's stuck here. She's already in prison. Look around. She's only trying to help you. Her, stop letting her distract you.
Still? After all this, sir, please. It's a shitty world, and I know I'm shitty too. I know. But I don't deserve to be sent to the moral intern and ground into paste just because I disturbed the sanctity of accounting. That's some multinational.
She's gearing up for a last stand. This is it.
I don't know. To spend my days with smoke, drink, and dance, wallowing in shit. Just like everyone else. You have those station calls, right? Where I have to show up at the station or I'll become a fugitive. You can write me one. You don't have to take me in right now. I promise I won't go out anymore at night. I'll be right here. I know you can do that. Just let me come in on my own. In 2 months, or maybe even 1 month. That's all I need.
You do have the form.
That's it. I'm calling it. Kim is beyond compromised. Definitely, sire.
Everything could change. This city, the extradition rules, the people after me could be in jail. Or maybe Revachol.
There is desperation there, in that silence. A cornered animal looking for a way out.
Maybe Revachol could be free. I could be tried in a free Revachol. An independent state that doesn't hand its detainees over to the moral intern.
A free Revachol. There is a low, distant rumble on the motor tracks. A great machine shaking the pillars down south. Electricity runs up your spine.
I find that hard to believe, miss.
It's coming.
The world can change. It's changed before.
Her political overture has succeeded, we see. This was her last card. There is nothing more she can say. The final decision is yours. You alone stand on the throne of your mind. She looks at you in silence, her face filled with fear, lips parted. Wait. If you arrest her, Kim will have to transport her. You'd be without your partner for the rest of the day. Shut up. He's making a decision, and it's his to make.
I won't.
This may have been a grave mistake, sire. Maybe, maybe not. Mercy is rarely a complete mistake.
I promise I will be right here all the time, nights too. I'll help you any way I can in this investigation, and I will be at Station 41 in 6 weeks. I promise.
She slowly lights another cigarette and steadies her breath, as if in the presence of some tiger. You are. This is not the end of this. The 15th Indo tribe. Because there was. The 15th Indo tribe was comprised of 8 kids from Forberg and North Jamrock, running from wild dogs in the valley, hiding scents under rocks, and stealing clothes off clotheslines, and sometimes even the copper wiring of phone lines. You may have been one of them. This must be a childhood memory. The 15th Indo tribe was your Indo tribe, set to rule in Cylinder. The rest of the kids are dead now. Car accidents and drug overdoses. Only you remain. This window is pristine on the inside, unlike the one next to it. Light from the desk lamp reflects off the glass in an untarnished golden halo. Golden light melts away into the blue, glassy darkness of your mind. In it are two neon-lit shapes, a man and a woman on the single bed. A two-hearted spider. Like the witness said, the man is kneeling, the woman is on her back. It's the night of March 4th and a shot has just been fired. The man looks directly at the woman. The shot's possible directions converge in his mouth, a ray cast from somewhere outside, entering his brain. From the roof outside, location A prime, the glass fractures around the bullet hole, shards face inwards like a corona behind the woman's back. The man does not know the bullet has entered his brain. He never will. Death comes faster than the realization. The ray cast from the man's mouth unravels into a fan of possible directions, all on the roof at first. The shot could have come from any of them. This is composite location A prime, most likely of the origin points. There could have been. Then the rain and slush and wind washed it away. This was more than a week ago. 72%, with a weapon that fires jacketed ammunition, likely a rifle. This is a good short distance, but not too short. The perpetrator aimed with their back against the railing, or possibly kneeling for precision. This would explain why it only took them one shot. The lights were on in here. Outside it was dark. It was like shooting fish in an aquarium, a well-lit aquarium. The victim opened his mouth to let the bullet in. Neither of them would have seen anything outside in the darkness, too busy with their own bodies. Point X would contradict the woman's testimony, rendering the entire proposition void. These figures would be wiped out, detective. None that you've found thus far, but that doesn't mean there aren't any. That's a 28%, yes. In this model, the shot could have come from a greater distance. Nothing excludes the possibility. Should we extrapolate to include every possible point of origin in Martinez? According to your map of the district, this shot could have come from a wide angle of locations, starting with the northern edge of the abandoned boardwalk, ending with an islet in the bay. Let's call them B prime. B prime for boardwalk, B double prime for Land's End, and B triple prime for the islet, detective. There may be smaller points in between, but those are too fine to zoom in on. 700 meters away, the likeliest of these B positions, 20% chance. A skilled sniper could have made the shot, provided he had a safe sniper's nest. Even with the light on inside, we're talking military training. At that distance, the perpetrator would have had to take wind direction into account. 1.2 kilometers away, the least likely of these positions, let's say 3%. A truly skilled sniper could have done it, possibly from a tent. No, too far-fetched. 1 kilometer away, a point beyond the docks, on an islet in the bay. The fort is ruined, but the perpetrator may have found a stable spot on the beaches surrounding it, where the concrete crumbles into the sea, as you saw in the coin-operated viewer. The shot would have been a small miracle, 5% likelihood. There is an extremely narrow field of view from the bay to the window, between Rue de Saint-Ghislain 10 and 33A. The angle would have been extreme, and access to the islets is questionable.
From where, precisely? I see you have given this a lot of thought. Are those the locations you've singled out in addition to the roof? And what is the likelihood, in your opinion, that it came from a further distance? Okay, well, we should see if there is gunshot residue or sniper nests if we go down the coast. Rule these spots out one by one. It would be the diligent thing to do. Until then, personally, I'm going with the roof version. A simple hypothesis can be wrong, but it's something to build on.
The same small, heavy door. No lock in sight. Something cracks inside. It is an unbelievably satisfying sound,
Nice.
filling you with a belief in your own body.
Sounds like the property damage wasn't in vain, at least. Would it hurt to look in? I don't know about that.
It totally was. You can almost see the shape of a man and a woman writhing inside, bathed in drug sweat and dirty linens. Bottles lie around everywhere.
You can barely see through. Better not to jump to sensationalist conclusions here. The footprints on the floor, however, definitely suspicious.
You lean closer to the peephole instinctively. I bet they're doing something quite unnatural there. Sensationally unnatural. You clearly see footprints in the downy carpet of dust covering the workshop floor.
Jackpot. These, unlike everything else here, are new. 3 weeks maximum from the dust coverage. It could easily have been 1 week too. You know, officer,
This is good. He likes it. There's a little smile there, in the dark of the workshop.
this isn't bad at all. It was a good idea to see where that door leads. Commendable work bringing us to this place. It means someone snuck through what seems like a secret route leading to the roof. The roof from where you can shoot our victim. This is significant. These prints, officer, could be the prints of our killer. And if not, at least they're a good argument for this Ruby doing it, to present to Titus.
Large prints, most likely made by Boots. The size is hard to determine. Sole could be bigger than Vamp. The soles have left a pattern, uniform, horizontal lines. This print is unlike one left by a regular worker boot. It is not a brand sole with logos on it. It seems custom made or old-fashioned. Shoe size is 41 to 42, maybe 43. It could be a large-footed woman or a small to average-footed man. This is, unfortunately, the worst, most vague shoe size there is.
The size looks about the same, actually. They're not the same shoe, but they could be the same person. I wouldn't rule out Ruby coming here yet. This isn't an argument against her. People change shoes, you know? But it's not an argument for her either. No, these little horizontal lines are different. They look custom-made to me. Or some kind of foreign print. Hard to say. Still a boot, though.
Everything around you is quiet. The prints crisscross the workshop floor. Over there, in the corner. Not just any pinball machine. This is the pinnacle of pinball. Cornelius Gordy and the Mountain Goats. It's lit. You can't wait to get your hands on it. Lit, a phrase almost synonymous with the Insulindian pinball scene. Any pinball scene, really.
The pinball machine. Gordy's Goats, a classic. A little.
Feels like a lot. Too much to play it again.
Ah, great.
Cornelius Gordy and the Mountain Goats reads the golden lettering on top of the back box. There's a small column of text underneath. The machine is coin-operated. Get the game on, Fingerboy. Those flippers are ready. Above the painting of a mustached man climbing a hill, a column reads, inspired by the legend of Cornelius Gordy, taken on the world's tallest peak, Corpus Muindi. The Mesk legend holds that when the nation is in danger, heroic Gordy shall return and save his people. The theme of the game is to explore Gordy's climb through the perspective of goats, and to ascend to the top of the mountain in a time of trouble. The peak of the mountain is at the top of the playfield. All the balls have small goat icons on them and represent the goats as they race up and down the mountain. Areas around the playfield represent Gordy's climb, places he was said to have camped, which the goats can discover. Get them to the summit. Indeed, think of them as balls. It takes a while to get into a rhythm, but pretty soon you're able to keep 3 goat-faced balls in play with relative ease. Go, go, finger boy.
I feel sorry for the goats. If they only knew the kind of guy old Cornelius really was. The kind of a guy who uses the word savages a lot when recounting his travels. A masked nationalist. An avid huntsman too. He was often photographed in his dining hall, surrounded by wall-mounted hunting trophies from every continent. He also hit his wife and kids, other people's kids too, sometimes pets. Hateful little man. But you seem to be having fun.
Your game is definitely improving. The jolly goats are flying all over the board, and although a few plummet to their deaths, you're never left with less than 3. Suddenly, a special passage leading to the summit slides open at the top of the board. This is where the balls need to go. Maneuvering a goat ball into a position for a perfect hit isn't easy. More fall to their deaths. But finally, the opportunity presents itself. One of them gets through. Tiny hammer shatters something inside the machine. Something glass. An ampoule? The last one. The words "pale rupture" light up on the speaker panel, and the machine starts filling with a thick, milky fog. Something's happening.
Congratulations. This is where the game ends. It's a cheap way of getting more money out of the players. A stupid, nihilistic finale.
There's so much fog, you can barely see anything. Some is actually leaking out of the machine, and one by one, your goats start slipping, disappearing into the milky nothingness. Lucky goats, the fog looks soft and inviting. This can be navigated. The balls leave almost imperceptible disruptions in the fog. Use them to calculate where they hit next. You're down to your last goat, going mostly by sound. Eyes are useless at this point, but that goat is something special. 5 times you snatch him back from the jaws of death. You're in a perfectly balanced system where neither you nor the pal is able to get the upper hand. This could go on forever. With automation-like precision, you keep the final goat ball in play, reacting to the tiniest stimuli, floating in the flow state. The fog is clearing, and suddenly the old speaker crackles. Gordy ball is lit.
Huh?
A panel opens up at the top of the playfield, and a new ball charges downhill. It's larger than the goats and matte black. Cornelius spell the white letters running across the equator. So violent is its descent, it immediately knocks the last goat into the abyss. Then proceeds to bounce all across the board as if carried by some demonic otherworldly inertia. High score, announce the speakers, and the whole machine lights up. Then the flippers retract, leaving a perfect opening for the Gordy ball to join the goats backstage. Cornelius vanishes, and the machine powers off.
That's amazing. You didn't just win. No one I know has ever beaten Gordy's goats. That is a monumental achievement, Detective. Congratulations, Your Highness. That was really impressive. The machine needs a good service before anyone else can even attempt it again. Yes, good times.
Once again, the machine becomes one with the dust and the darkness. Life has left it, unlikely to ever return. Call the Mama Dakwa. It's not only your eardrums that register sound anymore. Your very skin has become an organ of hearing. Looking for a whisper light and low, a god who's very, very silent. Nothing escapes you. A cockroach in the other room, a candy wrapper falling on dry grass, a drunk falling from a chair in a bar 20 meters away. In fact, you haven't heard the Col du Mama Dakwa, but you have discovered that you have amazing hearing. It must be the only part of you the alcohol hasn't drowned out. Keep listening. You see a heavy steel door with a prominent dimple lock. It's painted blue.
There must be a key somewhere. Probably somewhere in the whirling. It's not too important. We can get in and out using the roof door.
This small elevator is dimly lit by a bulb that's been glowing for ages. The latticed cage is open, inviting you to step inside. Smells of nougat and sweat. Your head brushes up against the ceiling. There is a control panel to your right, and just enough room for 2 people to fit in. The maintenance card under the control panel reads, Last maintenance, 10th July, 88. This elevator must have been used to transport pinball machines to and from the upstairs workshop.
That it does. I say, let's brave it. No, it was maintained in 88 of the previous century. No, I think the bureaucrats just forgot about this backroom elevator after the revolution. Seems so, although it's pretty quaint for a freight elevator.
There are large rectangular buttons, monter, descend, and an international call for emergency assistance. That third one appears to be broken. A small steel plaque reads Halter 800. Halter is a Koningsteiner lift company who went out of business a long, long time ago. So this is where they brought 40 pinball machines to fix them up, a long time ago. Everything is covered with dust now. The lieutenant looks around the dusty, crowded room, inspecting the tools on the shelf.
At some point, 20 years ago, 15 maybe, before pinball went out of vogue. Looks like it. I'm guessing Martinez North 22 used to be a pinball arcade before it became a hostel. There are machines left over.
A creak. Some dust falls off a shelf.
Downstairs in the hall, next to the main door. One of them even works. I've seen one of the hearties bang away at it.
But then it went bankrupt. Your skin crawls from making the connection.
If that's true, then our cafeteria manager is not going to like it. We should tell him what we found up here, omitting that suspicion. He does not appear to be the kind of man who likes his establishment to be part of a neighborhood ghost story about bankruptcy.
Stupid superstition. But still, it would be interesting to see what the cafeteria manager thinks of this. It's not a ghost story. It's a curse, and Gart ought to be made knowledgeable so he can perform counterspells.